we welcome you to Toronto, the historic Maple Leafs Gardens Center, Mattamy Athletic Center, for a special Fox College Hoops presentation. Aaliyah Edwards is home. The Ontario native and her UConn Huskies take on Toronto Metropolitan University. Good evening, everybody. It's a thrill to bring you this one. I'm John Fanta. My partner is Kim Adams. Aaliyah Edwards, a member of the Canadian national team and the superstar for the UConn Huskies. She has a sellout crowd waiting for her.
Yeah, we know Canada, specifically the city of Toronto, very excited about women's basketball, and they are welcoming home one of their best ever tonight in Aaliyah Edwards. She has been the president around here the last couple of days. They're selling her jerseys in the rafter. The media's following her around, and what a senior season she is putting together so far for the UConn Huskies. Aaliyah Edwards, you mentioned Kingston, Ontario native, putting up 16 points per game with great efficiency, John, 57% from the floor. Her rebounding has really picked up as of late. After 0 double-doubles in the first 8 games, she has 3 in the last 4 games, including a big one against Louisville just a couple of days ago. She had 22 points on 10 of 12 shooting in that one. It'll be a big night for Aaliyah Edwards.
A big night in Toronto. Aaliyah Edwards is home. UConn, TMU, next. Away from tip-off at the Mattamy Athletic Center in Toronto. Taking a look at the starting lineup, sponsored by Jeep. There's only one. And for all of these young girls here, Kim Adams, not only are they watching one of their own, Aaliyah Edwards, but they get to watch one of the best players in the world, Paige Bueckers.
Yeah, we know Paige Bueckers is back this season after missing all of last year. And she's thinking forward, and she is playing as well as she ever has.
Ready to go. Aaliyah Edwards wins the tip. The Huskies in the Navy. Toronto Metropolitan University unbeaten on their regular season in the home whites. Here is Edwards. Arnold to Edwards. Aaliyah Edwards is fouled.
And it was an impressive opening defensive possession for TMU, but Aaliyah Edwards making something happen there in the final ticks of the shot clock. Little backdoor cut, and her freshman counterpart, KK Arnold, finding her deep in the paint.
Officials tonight, Teresa Stuck, Brandon Ennerline, and Tasha Smith. And here she is, Aaliyah Edwards. Kim Adams, part of the 2020 Olympic Games in Tokyo, which were played in 2021. She made her Olympic debut at age 19 for Canada, the youngest player on that roster.
Yeah, really incredible. Has been part of Team Canada since she was just 17 years old. And it's just so well known, as evidenced by how many fans are coming out tonight to support her. It's an exciting day for her.
Now with the drive and that runner, Nika Mule with the defense. But a turnover here by the Huskies. And Toronto Metropolitan, this is a team that is unbeaten on their season. Katrina Garvey off on the 3. They believe in their perimeter shooting.
Yeah, they're a confident group. They recognize this opportunity, and Gino Oriema, that's got to make him happy from KK Arnold, but he didn't look too pleased with that turnover. This is a normal game for them. This is their 3rd game in 5 days. They had a very focused shoot around this afternoon, and he's expecting them to be sharp from the get-go.
Game counts for UConn's record, and in their stats, it does not count the net rankings. That 3 is a little bit long for TMU. UConn playing their 3rd game in 5 days. Edwards gets it back off the miss. And Edwards with some early jitters.
Yeah, maybe the opposite of some home cooking there. Aaliyah just got to settle in to her home country a little bit.
Played here a number of times. There's Ashlyn Shade, Kim Adams, and she is turning into quite the player for the Connecticut Huskies.
Yeah, this is a UConn team that is currently featuring 2 freshmen in the starting lineup. This is the 5th game that those 2 have been in there together, Arnold and Shade, and really just growing with confidence.
Up 3. That one is off the heel for Garvey, who's 0 for 2 to start. Paige Beckers from downtown.
And we're seeing the pace that this UConn team wants to play with. It's a little bit of a smaller lineup that they're going with. Really 4 guards in the lineup. Nika Mule getting the ball to the middle of the floor and over to Paige.
UConn from 4-3 on the season to 8-3. And Beckers went off against Louisville and North Carolina. Combined 46 in those. A traveling violation call. So the question is, for this Connecticut team, what has changed the last 4 games?
Well, they've had some people in and out of the lineup as we look back at Paige, who is shooting the ball extremely well from deep to start the season. But unfortunately, they've had injuries again as KK Arnold, UConn getting a lot of looks off-ball movement. And KK Arnold, we know she loves to defend. She forces that turnover. UConn will get it right back.
After that early giveaway, Kim, Gino Auriemma called the Big East preseason freshman of the year over, gave her a message, and she has answered the bell since. Shade. Ashlyn Shade, this freshman class keeps coming on.
Yeah, you see the IQ of Shade. You'll see it throughout the game, and it was a really solid screen sent by Aaliyah Edwards right in the middle of the paint to free up Shade.
I'm not surprised at all at Shade's 22 points, a career high against Butler on Monday night. Arnold with more defense. KK Arnold gliding, and 1 for KK.
KK Arnold, I would describe as a menace on the defensive end. She will get right up into the ball handler, active hands, getting into passing lanes. And now we've seen her force a couple of early turnovers.
What a start by these Huskies. Coming to Toronto, Aaliyah Edwards with the putback.
And Aaliyah clearly has a size advantage in this matchup. TMU not too big on the interior. So for them, it's about getting position. Coach Carly Clark said rebounding is the most important thing for TMU in this game.
Something to look forward to tonight, folks. We're expected to be joined as you look at Carly Clark on the other side, the Toronto Metropolitan head coach, by Kia Nurse. It was 6 years ago that Aaliyah Edwards watched Kia Nurse inside this building. Now it's her time to shine as a Husky.
Aaliyah Edwards back in her home country, back in Toronto, in front of a sold-out crowd. And she is going a little defense to offense. Not too many centers doing that. UConn up to a big lead early in Toronto.
Aaliyah Edwards and UConn up 18-0 out of the gates. And for Aaliyah, growing up in Kingston, Ontario, and now being here in Toronto tonight, it's such a special feeling to be home.
I think it's going to be such a surreal moment just because the amount of times that I've played at home with my national team is always going to have a special place in my heart. But to have my UConn family coming home and playing on home court, it's just going to be amazing.
Yeah, just such a cool moment because obviously UConn basketball means everything to her and is such a huge part of her life. So to be able to kind of blend these two worlds has to just be an incredible feeling. And we've seen just the joy in her face at shoot around this morning, just a lightheartedness about coming here. And she's off to a great start the game as well.
There's an interesting tie-in to this night as well, Kim. The last time Aaliyah played here at Mattamy Athletic Center, she helped Canada win a championship at the inaugural Global Jam Tournament. Carly Clark, the head coach of Toronto Met, was the head coach of that team.
Yeah, really cool tie-in. And we asked Coach Clark, what has really stood out to you about Aaliyah? And Coach Clark was also an assistant on the Canadian national team at the Olympics. She said she's just a relentless, tireless, hard worker, rebounder. She said it's been great to see her offensive game develop as well.
Garvey with 1 on the shot clock, the left-handed finish for Katrina Garvey.
And this is a bit of an adjustment for TMU, John, because they're used to playing under FIBA rules. So they're used to a 24-second shot clock. They really benefited from that extra 6 seconds there. It's something they've been practicing the last couple of days.
And now an illegal screen is called on Edwards.
And we have a special treat tonight, John. We're usually seated opposite the benches, but tonight we're sitting right next to Coach Auriemma. So he is not happy with his team after that one as we look back at Katrina Garvey getting TMU on the board, hopefully getting them to just relax a little bit into this big assignment for them.
Coach Auriemma came out with a Gatorade. He had it on your side of the table, and then he thought better and he said, I'm not going to let the former Penn Quaker potentially take a sip and get out on the hardwood. He put it over on my side.
Oh, I didn't realize he moved it to yours. I thought he was very courteous. He didn't want it to be in the shot. But, yeah, we are just a couple feet from Gino, so we're going to be picking up some good life advice, I'm sure, tonight.
Beckers picks off the pass and is fouled. You think about this UConn team, third game in 5 days, but you would never know it based on the intensity of their shoot-around this morning, and that's why Gino Auriemma's won 1,188 games.
Yeah, it was interesting. Gino, obviously, wherever he goes, he gets approached, people wanting to talk to him. So he was kind of off in the wings as they were starting their stretching. And then he came out and kind of was like, all right, ladies, we're not just happy to be here. We've got a game to win tonight.
A turnover here with Jamie Foreman, the leading scorer for the Bold. Toronto Metropolitan University is taking another look at the Hall of Famer. This is custom practice for him with his seniors to have homecoming games. Paige Beckers earlier this season on FS1 at Minnesota, a sellout there. And for the second time, the Huskies coming to Toronto. Kia Nurse 6 years ago, the other occurrence.
Yeah, UConn was actually supposed to play Pitt in this game. They had some players from the area, but they had a coaching change, and the game was never really contractually in place. So thankfully, Coach Carly Clark was up for the opportunity with her team, TMU, and here we are.
You think about Canadian basketball as Aubrey Griffin checks in for UConn. In the latest world rankings, United States at number 1, France at number 2, but Canada up to number 3. It keeps growing in this area.
Yeah, this is, as we said off the top, this country, the city of Toronto. Ooh, Ashlyn Shade. Just, that young woman could shoot the ball, but the WNBA held a game in the city of Toronto for the first time in May. They sold out Scotiabank Arena. This is a team that really wants to get a city that really wants to get a WNBA franchise here in the near future.
Ashlyn Shade has the hot hand and keeps it rolling. Ashlyn Shade is on fire in the north.
Yeah, Ashlyn Shade knocked down 4 threes in the last game against Butler en route to a career-high 22, and you could just see her really settling into this offense. She's got some tremendous point guards on the floor to work with to get her those open looks.
Shot clock is down to 8 now for TMU. Garvey's been plenty active early. That one does not fall for Karipe. KK Arnold flying. Connecticut's freshmen are shining.
And how about that outlet pass from Paige Beckers? Paige really had it at about foul line extended and launched it up all the way down to KK Arnold, who took about a second with the ball before she scored.
Ball is off. Gino Auriemma said it. He's challenged his upperclassmen to allow for the freshmen then to play better. Said it starts with Edwards and Beckers, as it'll stay with UConn.
Yeah, and it's interesting because we talked to Gino about how well the freshmen are playing, but he started by saying my upperclassmen are playing really well. Aubrey Griffin had a huge game against Louisville as well. The two of them, Aaliyah Edwards, Aubrey Griffin, really playing well together at the 4-5, right on cue, a little high-low action, easy bucket for Aubrey.
Aubrey Griffin with that big game on Saturday against Louisville. What impressed you the most about it?
The efficiency, and I think she's really stepping into a scoring role, whereas she's always kind of been the glue of the team to come in and get rebounds and run the floor and get some steals. I think now she's realizing my team needs me to score more because of AZ Fudd not being out there and some other players as well.
Katrina Garvey dialing it up from 3. She has all 5 for TMU. Here's Edwards. Feeling right at home, Aaliyah Edwards.
And that is just a strong take to the left. Again, you don't see too many centers who can step out here at the three-point line, rip through just a couple of dribbles, pounding the ball into the floor, and a strong finish with the left. That is why many WNBA scouts have Aaliyah Edwards very high on their prospect boards.
In Kingston in high school, Kim, transferred to Crestwood Preparatory College. And with Marlo Davis, her high school coach, that's how it all really came on for her to eventually become a Connecticut Husky.
Yeah, Gino was telling us some interesting recruiting stories today. He first saw her down in Florida as part of an NBA Global Academy initiative, and then went and visited her at home in Canada. Yeah, maybe had a little tie-in with Kobe Bryant there to impress Aaliyah.
That he did. We'll talk about it. Her roommate at that Florida event was Nika Mule. And Mule started that sequence that led to Edwards.
Yeah, Nika Mule at the time was already committed to UConn. Aaliyah was not. So what a coincidence there that they would both end up as Huskies.
They've built their legends here as an illegal screen is called.
And the intensity of this UConn defense is really jumping out here in the first quarter. You see communication, you see them hedging and icing and doubling ball screens, and everybody's really working well as a team, rotating and recovering.
A strong start for the Huskies. And talking to Carly Clark, who has so much pride, the head coach of the TMU Bold. She's had an accomplished resume throughout her career. She said, we will be better because of this. It's about having a mindset, relishing the opportunity. When she presented her ladies with this game, she said there were 2 emotions. One, oh my God, we're playing UConn. And then oh my God, we're playing UConn.
Yeah, it was really interesting to talk with Coach Clark today. She said she's looked up to people like Gina Oriema, Pat Summit. She's trying to model her program after historic programs like that. But I was really impressed with how she worked with her group today.
Stay with the Huskies with 8 on the shot clock. As Ice Brady checks in for Edwards. Shot clock at 5. Gina Oriema yelling it to Griffin. Griffin to Nika Mule. Pull up 3. That is TMU's game. They'll play with pace and they will have an evergreen light. Garvey couldn't connect. And a foul is called on Karipe. There's another element to this game. After tonight, UConn's players will either be going home or with their families somewhere on vacation. And Gino Oriema, you could tell, Kim, he knows their next game is not for 11 days. So he's not even looking at that scoreboard.
Now, we know Gino Oriema is always going to continue to coach like it's a tie game or a one-possession game. He is still lighting into his players on the smallest missed details or errors.
How cool do you think it is that they do these senior homecoming games?
It's really cool. I mean, especially for an international player. Not that Toronto is too far. It's a quick flight, but just for the peace of mind to come home and have your family and friends supporting. And same for Nika Mule playing in Croatia this summer. Just really meaningful and really great that the coaching staff does all they can to make that happen.
Offensive rebound here for Toronto Metropolitan. The runner is off. They'll get a third look as Lauren Meek comes up with it in a jump ball. Gino Auriemma will go to Amari DeBerry, the junior, 6'6". Possession arrow with Toronto Met. Irv's getting time here tonight, a chance for those players to show something this evening. 8 on the shot clock. This is Jamie Foreman with the ball. She is Toronto Met's leading scorer. It's down to 3. One off for Parker. The Huskies can hold it for the final shot of the quarter if they'd like. Ashlyn Shade, scalding. And back to UConn with 3.1. Ashlyn Shade with 13 points. She is 5 for 5.
She just really gets her feet set, doesn't need a lot of time to release that shot. She is ready to shoot when the pass comes her way.
Just an incredible opening quarter.
She's gotten a couple in transition here.
They get it in, and that's how the first quarter ends, with Samuels laying it in to beat the buzzer. The Connecticut Huskies putting on a show in Toronto.
Aaliyah Edwards back home, showing the people what her game is all about. Aaliyah Edwards flexing on him.
Second quarter just underway between Connecticut and TMU. Toronto Metropolitan University. Aaliyah Edwards in a homecoming game. Native of Kingston, Ontario, about 5 hours away from Toronto. Family and friends, a sellout crowd on hand here at Mattamy Athletic Center, the old Toronto Leafs Garden. John Fanta, Kim Adams with you from Toronto, and Kim Edwards showing off in the opening quarter with 10 points. Here's Caden Samuels. The Huskies freshmen have also been terrific.
Yeah, Aaliyah Edwards really in that first quarter just shown all that she's able to do as she gets ready to check back in. I love that rip through and drive mood she had. She's been active in the passing lanes, going defense to offense as well.
Ashlyn Shade with 13 points on 5 of 5 from the floor. Now a deflection from Amari DeBerry. So it's Samuels, DeBerry, Mule, Griffin, and Shade on the floor to start the second quarter. Mule says why not, then is off. Kaylee Hall starting her college career at Bowling Green. Now coming back to the north, to her homeland, to complete her college career. They have 5 years of eligibility as opposed to 4 in America. 7 on the shot clock. Deep 3 is just short for Foreman. Offensive rebound. A third look. TMU cannot connect with Griffin pulling it down.
Yeah, they're getting some good looks like that, some layups, some second chance, but just not used to this size, I would suspect, as Nika blows a layup on the other end.
Pull up 3, swishes home. That's Haley Feddick.
And this is a TMU team that will not be shy about pulling up from deep. Their percentage has not been great so far this season, but they do have some capable shooters. As the first year, Haley Franco-DeReich blocks Aubrey Griffin. That's not easy to do. Yeah, this is a first-year player, Haley Franco-DeReich, trailing the play, doing a nice job of positioning her body so that she's able to do that without fouling over the back.
Shade hasn't missed. Ashlyn Shade 6 for 6 with 16 points.
4 of 4 from deep. I don't even think she's hit the rim. It's just been swish after swish.
Now Edwards, she is a freight train. Aaliyah Edwards can do it all.
The point center, Aaliyah Edwards, going coast to coast, getting the rebound, looking easy, looking smooth in transition, one-handed finish.
To the corner. One just short for Kaylee Hall. And now Mule. Caden Samuels catch and shoot. The Huskies can't miss from downtown.
And I know this is, maybe not the caliber of opponent that they're going to face in the U.S., but this team is just so dangerous in transition. They have shooters all around the perimeter. They have players that can get the ball to the middle of the floor, and they can get it up quickly, especially now with this smaller lineup that they've been working with.
6 of 8 from 3. Nice move to the bucket, but Hall was just a little bit off. Oh, wow. Griffin in transition, and that's the vision of Mule.
That looked like just a fast break drill in practice. Just Nika Mule beautifully leading Aubrey Griffin on that pass.
And when we talked to TMU coach Carly Clark this morning, she said, what amazes me about UConn is their shot making.
Yeah, the efficiency as a team is impressive. Over 50%. Or just about 50%, 49% on the season. But you just look down the lineup and multiple players shooting at or better than 50%.
Coming up on Saturday night, it's Fox Primetime Hoops. Joel Soriano and St. John's paying a visit to Tristan Newton and number 5 UConn from the XL Center. Saturday, Fox Primetime Hoops. Coverage begins 7:30 Eastern on Fox.
Rick Pitino, he's back. Well, he's been around, but he's back at a high major. And he's loving it.
Back in the Big East. His 3rd different stint in the conference. This man knows all too well about the Big East, which has 3 teams in the top 25 on the women's side.
Yeah, it's been an impressive start, maybe a bit surprising. Marquette still undefeated on the season. Creighton and Marquette already played each other. That was pretty much down to the final few minutes there. And wouldn't you know, UConn's first 2 Big East opponents, John, Marquette and Creighton.
With 10, here's KK Arnold. Off to Beckers. I haven't said Paige Becker's name lately. She gets pushed there and is fouled.
And you mentioned not saying her name lately, John. It's been nice to see her not have to pull so much of the load. As I think we saw that in the first couple of games. She was pressing a bit, and now we've seen some of her teammates really grow more confident, and we could just see Paige let the game come to her a little bit more. And she still knows when it's her moments, when her team needs her to get a shot, get a bucket. But she's been able to really trust and confide in her teammates who have been stepping up on this win streak.
And you have to think about it for Paige. Missing all of last year. And then automatically, what's the national view? Well, she'll just start right where she left off. And she had 27 against NC State. She posted 24 and really dominated the Maryland game with those 6 steals. 31 against UCLA. Amazing to think she comes off that injury, and it's just fantastic. Paige Beckers, the All-American. And now a steal.
Man.
Paige Mania.
Uh-oh. Oh, heat check.
Caden Samuels is there. But right there, Kim, is what you were talking about. Her making those plays, then Samuels, Arnold, Shade all seem more comfortable.
And you know what I would say there too, John? Paige is really asserting herself on the defensive end more than we've seen her in the past. The last 3 games, she has 10 blocks. She also gets about 2 steals per game. Oh, we're just a couple times tonight. We've foreshadowed a play to come.
You are near the coaching staff tonight. But look, there's a next level that's calling. And we know her offensive game. You've talked about that as being the area for growth that scouts are looking for.
Yeah, and I think you almost sometimes forget about her size as a 6-foot guard. And in her year off, once she was back healthy, she really worked to get stronger, put on some muscle. We're seeing that reflected in her game this season, the contact she's able to take, going going to the rim, but we're certainly seeing growth from Paige on the defensive end this season.
UConn fans, Kim Adams with you from Toronto. Edwards turning it over this time, but there is KK Arnold.
I remember talking to Gino Oriem at Media Day ahead of the season, and his eyes lit up talking about KK Arnold. And usually Gino doesn't really give freshmen the benefit of the doubt like that. He wants them to earn their keep. But he described her defensive prowess, and it's like we're seeing a piranha out there. She just loves defending.
Arnold again. And between Arnold, Shade, and Caden Samuels, the freshman trio for UConn has combined for 38 of the 58 points.
They've been tremendous. They're having to grow and mature very quickly. And UConn typically does not have to rely on freshmen or that many freshmen this early on in the season, if at all. And those three are just stepping into their roles and their expectations tremendously.
A traveling violation call. Taking us to a timeout. The Connecticut Huskies, a balanced machine with 4 in double figures, and an Aaliyah Edwards homecoming. UConn is on a roll. Welcome back to Mattamy Athletic Center. TMU, Toronto Metropolitan University. Earlier today, we got to visit with Coach Carly Clark and this program. They have a special friend, a therapy dog. Meet Luca.
Oh, just so cute. Anytime you can combine dogs and basketball. I know we've met Jonathan the Husky on the UConn side. Luca was so cute. She hung out all practice. Unfortunately, she's not at the game tonight, but I grew up with a yellow lab as well, Sammy, so I really enjoyed meeting Luca this afternoon.
Sellout crowd here at the old Maple Leafs Gardens. This 92-year-old building, there's so much history. Muhammad Ali has fought in here. Elvis Presley's played in here.
Wow.
Jimi Hendrix, the Beatles, and tonight, Aaliyah Edwards and the UConn Husky Globetrotters.
They've sold out the building. Gotta say, it was a late arriving crowd, but everyone's here now. This place is packed. We even had to move our typical broadcast position because they wanted to sell our seats as well.
Hey,
they weren't going to give us those for free.
We were absolutely. We were willing to move. A great, great crowd. And UConn fans who have traveled from the States to cheer on their team. Sitting at center court tonight, Aaliyah's family. Jackie Edwards, her mom, Sanford Eddie Edwards, dad. They're civil servants, both of them, for the federal government.
Wow. How cool is that for them to witness this moment? So supportive. Trying to see what the shirt says. I got to get a good look at that. Oh, it says Aaliyah on it. I could see her right across from us. Great shirt.
Brother Jamal as well. Great, great family.
Ooh.
Aaliyah, that is an elbow and a foul. And that is her third foul.
Yeah, Aaliyah didn't mean any intent by that. It was a really quick move. Just she had a little bit of size on her defender, and elbow came through a little bit.
He was so bright this morning, just beaming with pride. With her parents representing this country. Her following in the footsteps of Kia Nurse, who's been like a big sister. Ooh. Beautiful dish from Arnold. And that leads to Brady getting fouled.
And there's just so many small details that you pick up when you realize all that Aaliyah Edwards can do. We'll get back to that in a second. We got to look at this drive and dish. KK Arnold's. She has been so impressive defensively, getting into the paint, driving and dishing. But that last possession, Aaliyah Edwards helps out above the three-point line and then recovers down in time to secure the rebound.
KK Arnold with that dish. The Connecticut freshman, folks, an amazing first half of basketball. Ashlyn Shade, KK Arnold, a combined 6 for 6, combined 12 for 12 rather. Caden Samuels is 4 for 4. So the 3 UConn freshmen are 16 for 16.
That's absurd.
Yes, it is. A turnover here. That is 37 combined points on 16 of 16 from the floor.
Wow. And UConn is now for 17 turnovers. Again, I know this is not, UNC, Marquette, Creighton, but they're really showing intensity and quickness and a sense of togetherness. I mean, it just rolls on. Will this freshman class miss a shot here in Toronto? Gino may have to schedule every game here.
That's the storyline, because you talk about the stats count. This doesn't count the net rankings or towards UConn's NCAA resume, but they have not missed a shot. KK Arnold is 8 for 8. 8 for 8 with 16 points, and Carly Clark will call a timeout.
I know a lot of people bought tickets to see the Aaliyah Edwards show, but they are also being treated to the KK Arnold Clinic. She has been outstanding. Offense to defense, the motor, the quickness. And there's that graphic again, so it will count towards their record. These players are going to get some good stats out of this game, I'll tell you that much, some good shooting percentages. It won't count towards, Selection Sunday or anything like that. But it is a legitimate game, and it's been a good one so far for the Huskies.
Has been such a great night for Aaliyah Edwards as Carly Clark talks with her TMU team. Clark's been here for 12 years, and Gino Auriemma, he won't stop coaching, that's for sure. The Huskies, they won't play for 11 days, as coming up at the half on the Jeep halftime report, Providence in action against number 10 Baylor down in Florida. The crew will have highlights, plus a feature on the Big East Transition Game, a special program for upperclassmen like Aaliyah that's held every year in New York City. And we'll have first half highlights and stats. That's all coming up on the Jeep halftime report.
And you just see how they're attacking those ball screens, Sean. 2 players jumping out, pushing the TMU ball handlers out. And it's just making it really tough for TMU to get into any sort of offensive set. UConn has really done a nice job with that, really from down the lineup, 1 to 5.
Ashlyn Shade checks back in. What a half she's had. Not missing a shot. 6 for 6 from the floor with 15. 4 on the shot clock here for TMU, the runner. And there is Samuels. Bencourt lays it ahead. Brady could not connect. Now Brady finding Samuels. That one off as well.
All right, the freshmen aren't going to go perfect tonight.
That
1 miss
would confirm it. Pull up 3. Short for Kaylee Hall. Just joining us, we're at the Mattamy Athletic Center in Toronto, Canada. Caden Samuels knocking it down. So she got redemption the next possession.
She missed a 2-pointer. She hasn't missed a 3 yet. She has really shown great promise with her outside shooting ability, in addition to Ashlyn Shade as well.
And why are we here, folks? Because Aaliyah Edwards from Kingston, Ontario, her senior year, so it's part of UConn women's basketball tradition to play a homecoming game. That's exactly what they have come to do here. The Huskies honoring Nika Mule in an off-season trip, going to Minneapolis with Paige Beckers, and now coming to Toronto for Edwards to play in front of her home faithful. Nika, of course, from Croatia.
And we should mention that although it's seniors, all three of those players can still come back and play next year. They term them as academic seniors. So you may see some of these ladies back on the floor next season, and they'll have some big decisions to make.
Sellout crowd, quite a scene. Aaliyah Edwards worshipped around these parts. You see the fans, they have all come out. She's played here before out of Crestwood High School, where she transferred to. Made that big move. It's like going from Buffalo to New York City in the States. She made that move here in Canada and has been a star ever since, as the runner is off for TMU. Final seconds of this first half. Putback does not go. 3 seconds to go here. With 1 second left, Samuels runs out of time. And that'll do it for our opening 20 minutes. Aaliyah Edwards in her homecoming with 12 points.
Aaliyah Edwards thrilled to be back in her home country. 9 rebounds as well to go along. Love to see the young fans out there. Ashlyn Shea, the freshman, 16 points as well. Big start for the Huskies.
Welcome back to Mattamy Athletic Center in Toronto, Canada. The Connecticut Huskies playing TMU in senior Aaliyah Edwards' homecoming game, and UConn clicked on all cylinders.
Yeah, well-rounded performance, both ends of the floor, defense to offense. Aaliyah Edwards has had a special game so far. She's up to 12 points, 9 rebounds. And she has been fired up. And we take a look at the stats here, and impressive offense for UConn. 72% shooting in the opening 20, 7 of 10 from deep, most of those coming from some of their talented freshmen, and able to force 20 turnovers on the defensive end. Impressive opening 20 for Gino's group,
to say the least. And all smiles and waves to family and friends. About 4,000 on hand here, standing room only. The old Maple Leafs Gardens opened up in 1931.
I love to see that smile from Aaliyah. We've gotten to know her over the last couple of years, and she's just such a kind young woman, a talented young woman, a joyful young woman, and it's just fantastic to see her have this night and this experience.
And what's she doing tomorrow? Going to Jamaica.
Everyone needs a little vacation.
Play a homecoming game and then head to Jamaica as Foreman's off on the 3. UConn is currently zoning TMU. Foreman, the leading scorer for TMU. Jamie Foreman.
And, this is a tough situation for TMU to go up against such a tremendous program. Great to come out of the locker room and feel like you executed something that you talked about at the half. Credit to Carly Clark, who we had the pleasure of talking to, but Ashlyn Shade. Let's double check. Is she still perfect? Yep, that'll make it 7 for 7 for the freshman.
After a 22-point performance against Butler, not even 48 hours ago.
And again, I don't think she's grazed the rim. I think everything has been a swish.
The runner is good. Jamie Foreman, who came up in AAU playing for Kia Nurse's dad's team.
Yeah, Foreman, an impressive player, averages about 16 on the season. Leah showing some range. That was just a couple steps in from the three-point line.
That's the next step.
Whoa!
Foreman catching fire.
The Foreman grill.
Yes. Light it up here in the third quarter for Jamie Foreman. Arnold. And it will go back to TMU.
Yeah, really impressive from Jamie Foreman. Her team had been struggling to score in that opening half, and they've settled in a little bit after the halftime break, and she is perfect out of the locker room.
Another deep 3. This is what they can do, even though that was off. It's their strength. It's what's led them to an 8-0 start to the season. Beckers, and one for Paige.
Those are some of the most impressive moments for me that we've seen from Paige, and her resurgence is her ability to take contact and really just fight her way to the rim on the drives, little left to right across the lane. I mean, that's all contact there. She's sticking with it.
She was asked at Big East Media Day, so the expectations for this season are, she chuckled. She goes, do you know who you're talking about? It's a national championship. Always. Skip pass to the left wing. And that's deflected, and here come the Huskies. They have run the floor throughout the night.
Ooh,
Edwards can't finish it off, but a blocking foul.
It's really remarkable to see how quickly KK Arnold can go from defense to offense. It is like an acceleration unlike most players. She does such a good job of leading the break. Unselfish pass, additional pass from Nika Mule.
And back to the star of tonight's show, Aaliyah at the line. Such a special night for her. Glowing this morning, talking with the media, saying she wants to be that example to young girls. She'll stay around tonight and talk to as many as she can, sign autographs. A really special night in Toronto.
Yeah, we saw the young ladies playing at half. There are a ton of young girls and boys here watching this.
Nice spin move, Edwards. Now that is her 4th foul. You would hate to see that on our homecoming night. 4 fouls.
Are we playing FIBA foul rules here? Do they get 6?
Nope.
Because Gino is showing no. Gino's not glancing to the bench.
Four fouls for Edwards. It is a regular college game. TMU typically plays the FIBA rules, so they typically play a 24-second shot clock.
I just wonder if Aaliyah knows that she has 4. The coaching staff knows, but does Aaliyah know that she has 4?
Well, we'll find out, won't we?
We will.
Arnold, how about her night? KK Arnold.
Her poise and just... It's so impressive. She doesn't appear to be a freshman out there. She's so confident and smooth on both ends. 3-time Big East Freshman of the Week winner already.
Air ball there and back to the Huskies. And now, after maybe chancing it for a possession or two, Aubrey Griffin will come in for Edwards, who has the 4 fouls. Griffin, what a day she had against Louisville. Oriana said we need it time and time again. Putting it on her to be consistent. Arnold, they're giving her that shot. There is the offensive rebound for Aubrey Griffin. Paige Beckers. TMU team, one of the front runners in their conference. An unbeaten start to their season. A couple of narrow victories. Jamie Foreman leading the way. Giveaways here tonight as here comes Beckers. Shade has not missed. Ashlyn Shade is 8 for 8 with 20 points.
No shade here. Just absolutely ridiculous. But it's the work that she does before she gets the shot as TMU answers back. But if you watch all of her threes, her feet are perfectly positioned, her shoulders are square to the basket, her elbow is tucked. It's setting up her body so that she doesn't need a lot of time once she gets that pass.
That line. Now Arnold hits it home.
Ladies.
Look, you've said it. You have to understand that this isn't North Carolina or Texas or Louisville, but Arnold and Shade.
And shot making is shot making. I don't care who you're playing. Are some games you're not going to have the most wide open of looks that they may be seeing tonight, but shot making carries over.
Shade and Arnold are combined 18 for 20.
41 points from two freshmen. All things going smoothly right now for the Huskies in Toronto. We'll be back.
Welcome back, Connecticut, on Aaliyah Edwards' homecoming night. Enjoying a lead and clicking on all cylinders.
But some of her teammates have been sharing the spotlight as well. How about the freshman? Ashlyn Shade has hands of gold tonight. She simply cannot miss. 20 points, a perfect 8 of 8 shooting, 4 of 4 from deep. And I'm telling you, we got to start keeping track of rim touches. I do not think that any of Ashlyn's 8 shots have even grazed the rim. It's been perfect shot after perfect shot.
Top 15 recruit, McDonald's All-American, 2022 Indiana Girls Basketball Gatorade Player of the Year, went from Noblesville, Indiana to La Lumiere for her senior season to just level up in the high school competition. And UConn associate Chris Daly, who has been Gino Auriemma's right-hand woman on this staff for decades, said Ashlyn Shade, coming out of high school, the competitive spirit of her, second to none.
And she just plays with a steadiness about her. She doesn't seem rushed. She doesn't get too high or low emotionally. And I've been impressed with her IQ and execution on the defensive end as well, as impressive as her shooting has been.
Tonight she's had 8 for 8 from the floor. Griffin had that deflected and a jump ball. It belongs to TMU. And let's talk about the Bold for a moment. They've come out here in the third quarter, come out firing from 3 with 13 points and competing, Kim. They have not stopped competing.
Yeah, I give them a lot of credit because that was not an easy pill to swallow in the first half, to go down early and often, and I've been really impressed with the response. I mean, they have a tremendous coach in Carly Clark, who was a player herself, who has national team coaching experience, Olympic team coaching experience, and she really has things running well here. They won a national championship just a couple years ago. They're kind of still rebuilding from that team, and they're going to get a lot better from watching the tape in this game and just the experience, the size they're seeing, and the physicality.
Foul here. It's on Nika Mule. You talked about Carly Clark, the head coach of TMU, and most recently coaching the FIBA U19 Women's Basketball World Cup team. The bronze medal in 2012 at the World Championship. Historic showing. They defeated Japan in the bronze medal game at the U19 Women's Basketball World Cup in 2017. Best finish ever. So she has really done an amazing job. Coached the World Select team for the inaugural women's game at the Nike Hoop Summit this year. She's as vital as anybody in the growth of this sport in Canada.
Absolutely.
Shade, her first miss was 8 for 8. On the other end, that one goes. Katrina Garvey.
Nice decision to pull up there from Garvey. They're getting accustomed to the size of UConn, their speed and transition. Smart read.
Shade with back-to-back misses. Hey, we want to tell you about In the Bonus. Every week you can join Megan Caffrey, Kim Adams, Isis Young, and Lisa Carlin as they take you inside Big East women's basketball on the In the Bonus podcast. This week's special guest is Seton Hall's Azana Baines. You can find In the Bonus wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. And over here, and how is In the Bonus going?
We've been having a lot of fun with it. Great conversation about what's going on in the league. Really great in-depth interviews with some of the league's star players, getting to know them better as people. We haven't had any Huskies yet. I'm certain we'll be getting one of them soon. Kaden Samuels. I think she just apologized for shooting. I think her coaching staff wanted them to keep running the play, but she switched it. She made it and looked at the bench, put two hands up and said, "I'm sorry."
Yes, and her coach turned around, which Gino Auriemma said this. He goes, "Look, I judge players based off about 9-10 things. The thing about Samuels is as a freshman, and one, count that in the foul for Corinne Parker of TMU." He said Samuels does two things really, really well.
And here it is, the corner pocket. Let's see if we can see the bench reaction. Yeah, see, she's looking back, and Jameel Elliott said, "It's okay, you switched it." But you love that awareness from her to say, "Oh, shoot, my coaches wanted us to keep running through the offense." But just another impressive freshman in this game. Samuels now up to 16 points on 6 of 7 shooting.
Kim, you said it earlier. When we're talking nationally, you see a number 17 next to this team's name right now. But when people talk about the strength, it's the shot making that they possess that could carry them in March.
Yeah, and I mean, it's been kind of an odd rankings. I'm an AP voter this year. I don't have them quite that low, but they have 3 losses. And those 3 losses are to teams in the top 5, and none of them were at home. So they lost to number 3 NC State on the road. They lost to number 2 UCLA neutral site, and they lost to number 5 Texas. So I don't think the roof is falling down yet in Stores. This team is just starting to find its footing a little bit.
Around the country and at the top of the AP poll, the South Carolina Gamecocks, who won earlier this week over Bowling Green, getting 21 points from Chloe Kitts.
South Carolina has been impressive. NC State has been a huge story. They were unranked at the time when UConn went down to them. It's been a really exciting first couple of weeks of the women's college hoop season.
And I saw Virginia Tech on Sunday night.
3-point barrage. Georgia Amor, what an electric guard she is.
Out for Matilda Eck.
I've seen Caitlin Clark a couple times this season. Her teammates, kind of like we're seeing with Paige, Iowa teammates starting to grow more confident around Caitlin Clark.
How's this all come back to here? We're at a sold-out building tonight. The sport of women's basketball has never been stronger as Griffin is fouled. We are at Metemi Athletic Center. Maple Leaf Gardens, historic building. It was built in 1931, and it housed the Toronto Maple Leafs from 1931 to 1999 through their glory years, and now the home of the TMU Bold.
Yeah, really cool venue, reconfigured to now be a couple of different floors. We are on the 3rd floor here at the basketball arena now, or it's really actually the hockey arena. The TMU basketball teams play on another gym normally, but we're playing this special game here in the hockey arena.
Staff here at Metemi Athletic Center, they've been fantastic in making this game possible. Take a look here at when this was built back in 1931, and this was an absolute powerhouse of a building that housed the Maple Leafs, who Kim went on a dynasty run, championship after championship. Look at the crowds.
Crazy. Looks like the Raptors played here too. I did a little bit of homework. I saw that the Maple Leafs won 11 Stanley Cup titles between 1932 and 1967, as Ice Brady gets one to go.
11 titles.
You know who also has 11 titles? The UConn Huskies, national championships. Look at that tie-in.
Are high level tonight. In the basement of this building is a grocery store. Become a town, a national center for all kinds of things. It's a centerpiece of this area. 5 seconds left in this third quarter. Down to 2, the 3 to beat the buzzer, and that'll do it for quarter number 3. At Mattamy Athletic Center, celebrating women's basketball tonight. A sellout crowd here to see TMU and UConn. We go to the fourth on FS2. The Connecticut Huskies up 95-26, heading in the fourth quarter in Toronto. Aaliyah Edwards in her homecoming game tonight talking about the growth of women's basketball in Canada.
I've seen it grown so much over the years, I think, especially since COVID and the impact the WNBA has had on, the sports culture has really impacted Canada in a positive way.
And John, we see an incredible amount of young women, young girls taking in this game. And I can tell you these moments matter. These are major moments in terms of shaping young girls, whether they go on to play or not. They're seeing powerful women, strong women. They're seeing hard work pay off. Moments like this, having the national championship game on network television, those things go a long, long way, and it's why we're seeing this sport thrive the way it is right now. We still have lots of work to do in terms of the visibility of the game.
John Fanta, Kim Adams with you. Mattamy Athletic Center in Toronto. Toronto Metropolitan University playing this game against Connecticut tonight. They were so excited for this opportunity. A sellout crowd and an awesome stage for the game here in Toronto. And Kim, you played at Penn. You've been so instrumental in this sport. Who inspired you when you were growing up?
Ooh, that's a good question. I would say, first of all, my mom. She was a player. She was my high school coach. She was an incredibly strong woman. I got to say, I grew up in the New York area. I grew up watching UConn women's basketball, the Sue Bird, Diana Taurasi ages. Those two were two guards I modeled my game after. I didn't grow up watching too much of the Liberty. I think the WNBA has grown so much more now, and that's going to really impact so many young girls. But a lot of the women on this floor right now are impacting any and all who are watching right now.
Las Vegas Aces, back-to-back WNBA champions. For that thrilling win to cap off the series over the Liberty by 1. You said it, the growth of the WNBA. And we've been talking about Aaliyah Edwards' example. Jackie, her mom, said this to CT Insider. She said, I think as a young black female in the sport, having young black girls look up to Aaliyah, that's important. And Jackie said, I think that when we talk about role models that reflect, you see yourself in them and them in you. Jackie said, it's not about the color necessarily, but it's the relatability of this young black child who sees Aaliyah, but she sees herself.
Yeah, wow.
Those words are
beautifully
so
said.
Powerful.
And you have to think that Aaliyah Edwards probably looked up to a player like Kia Nurse in that way. A Canadian national team who played at UConn is here tonight.
6 years ago, Aaliyah was here to watch Kia. And it was at that moment that it clicked in her head, I want to play at the level UConn plays at. It's one thing to think it, Kim. The dream came true. Deflection. DeBerry with the defense. DeBerry off this time, but that is quite literally the impact that one game can have on a young girl.
Oh, yeah. we might have a future Husky here in the crowd, maybe more than one.
We saw it last year with the Maddie Sechrist movement at Villanova. You and I did a game in New York. She couldn't get off the floor after the game. There were hundreds of girls that wanted her autograph.
And there's Kia Nurse, UConn guard. Won 2 national championships with the Huskies, now in the WNBA, currently with the Seattle Storm. And there was a direct tie-in, as you mentioned, between Aaliyah Edwards and Kia Nurse, and conversations about what her experience was. Great nails, too. Great holiday nails.
Before Aaliyah played her first game as a Husky on local sports TV here, folks, Kia wrote Aaliyah a letter. And in that letter, she said, "Dear Aaliyah, you've earned this. 4 years of chances to wear that white jersey with those 5 letters in navy blue. UConn. Do you know why there's a number on the back of your jersey but no name?"
That's goosebumps material right there. Wow. What a letter. I don't think I ever really thought about that until right now, that UConn players don't have their names on the back of the jersey. I don't think that's ever clicked. Wow.
Players change. The basketball capital of the world remains the same. They have earned that title with those 11 rings. Not enough fingers to hold them as the turnaround goes for Haley Feddick. These TMU players will talk about this for the rest of their lives.
Oh, yeah. They will always remember this. They'll have pictures. They'll be better players for it.
Foul on the take on Feddick. So you know how you've had some aha moments tonight throughout the evening?
Totally.
We found out that Maple Leaf Gardens, which is this building, that the first NBA, at the time called the BAA, November 1st, 1946, the first NBA basketball game took place here. It featured the New York Knicks and the Toronto Huskies.
No way. That's like scary. The coincidence. Huskies. That's an insane stat.
Over 7,000 spectators. Your Knicks won 68-66. Player salaries back then were around $5,000 per season. The tallest player
good.
was 6'8". Admission was free.
That's incredible.
First NBA game played here.
Ooh.
Aaliyah Edwards, welcome home, Aaliyah.
The smile is everything. The smile we've seen from Aaliyah Edwards tonight. Beautiful moments.
Night she will talk about for the rest of her life. 20 points, 4 fouls. Into that fourth early in the third quarter, but back in there now to cap off this evening and playing carefully. And she'll head to Jamaica with her family tomorrow and enjoy the Christmas holiday. Huskies won't be back in action as you take a look at Mom. There's the 3 for TMU. Corinne Parker's got range. This TMU team has range.
Continue to be impressed by their response. After a tough first half, came back confidently, getting better looks offensively.
Aaliyah is fouled. We go to a timeout. With those 20 points, she'll go back to the line after this. A memorable night in Toronto. The Mattamy Athletic Center. The UConn Huskies showing Canada what they're made of. Aaliyah Edwards, what a journey it has been for her in her career. The Canada native, she's represented the national team, takes such great pride in it. at the age of 19 on the Olympic Games team in 2021.
Yeah, just insane. Member of Canada basketball since 2017. Youngest member of that Olympic team in 2020. And she has just represented Canada basketball incredibly well. Not just with her playing ability, but the type of young woman that she is, what she's been able to display in NCAA basketball across the country in the USA, really putting Canada on the map there. Can't say enough about what she's done. And in this game as well, she's up to 24 points, 1 rebound shy of a double-double.
Her high school coach at Crestwood, Marlo Davis, said she's just so mature. She's a pro in terms of her respect for the game.
And I thought it was interesting when we were talking to Gino about what first caught his eye when he was recruiting her out of high school. And then when we asked Coach Carly Clark about what stood out, TMU's head coach, they both said the same thing. They said she is a relentless worker, a relentless competitor, starting with the defensive end, and now her offensive game has really caught up to what she brings rebounding-wise and defensive-wise. And she's shooting better than 55% this season. And she is.
To Aaliyah Edwards. A homecoming to remember for Aaliyah. 26 points. Not to mention 10 rebounds as that three is short. The follow doesn't go either. And Aaliyah Edwards now has 4 double-doubles in her last 5 games. That was something you brought up this morning in those marquee games lately. She's really stepped up.
Yeah, the first 8 games she didn't have a double-double. Ooh, I thought she was going to make a 3 in her homecoming. I think that would have been her first 3 of the season, maybe her career. Now, it definitely doesn't have more than probably 5. That would have been phenomenal. Not that it still isn't phenomenal without that made 3. Maybe she should try one more. That looked good.
It did look good off the hands. And for Aaliyah Edwards, she has made 3 career threes in her career. Here she is, number 3 for the Huskies. The pride of Canada. All smiles with 26 and 10. A homecoming game for the senior. An evening she'll never forget. And court can't connect. Extra opportunity here for UConn. Final minutes of this one is on the other side of this. You credit TMU. Corner 3 swishes home. That's Katrina Garvey, who's been a star tonight in double figures with 10.
Yeah, you do credit TMU for agreeing to this game, because Gino said in the past it hasn't been always the easiest to schedule these homecoming games because nobody wants to play UConn, knowing it's likely going to come on the losing end.
For Carly Clark, for understanding the growth of this sport.
And just for any young ladies watching, you can go over to Canada and play college basketball. If you want to expand your search, expand your opportunities.
That's deflected. Taken by Parker. Then was tripped up. UConn team will have the holiday break. They jump back into their schedule, and oh, do they jump back in. There's no rush once they get back into it, Ken. New Year's Eve at home, number 18 Marquette, and then January the 3rd, 4 days later, at number 21 Creighton.
Getting right to it. Megan Duffy's Marquette Golden Eagles are still undefeated on the season, 11-0. Marquette and Creighton already played each other. That was a 6-point game in Milwaukee. 2 really talented teams. What a start to Big East Conference play it will be.
As we get a foul. Next Wednesday on Fox, 'tis the season for the Holiday Bowl, as the 15th ranked Louisville Cardinals take on USC in their Pac-12 finale. the DirecTV Holiday Bowl next Wednesday at 7:30 Eastern on Fox. Wind down with you. You said it. Marquette at 11-0 on the year. Liza Carlin, Jordan King, Mackenzie Hare. And you talk about Creighton, and they've got a big three of their own.
Emma Ronsick has been putting up insane numbers for the Jays. Got to look up the latest, but she's at 30-point games. Liza Carlin definitely in the Big East Player of the Year conversation, I would say. Those three teams, and then a couple more coming up too. Seton Hall Pirates, AP top 25 win over UNLV this past weekend.
It's amazing, Kim. Seton Hall was down 21-2 today. 21-2 at Georgetown. They came back to win.
That was stunning. We had been following the first quarter score, and then to see Seton Hall won that game on the road with that deficit, I was stunned.
Get them in early January the 9th on FS1 when they welcome in the Marquette Golden Eagles. So it looks like that foursome, the one to watch in the Big East. We'll see what Lucy Olson and Villanova can do. St. John's feisty, and a couple of dark horses in the league as well.
A lot of spicy matchups to come. I am looking forward to it.
Great to be here tonight in Canada. A really special evening, and Aaliyah Edwards in her homecoming with 26, 10, and 3 assists. Into Brady. I'll ask you this question. In the next week and change, what can UConn do once they get off the holiday break? What should their focuses be?
Well, I think things are really coming together well right now in terms of readjusting the lineup to what they thought it would be. Now without AZ Fudd, a couple of players lost for the season. And I think just continuing to build the offense, continuing to build chemistry on the defensive end. The shot making, the offense is there. It's really just about the small details, continuing to build that chemistry, but it certainly has looked good this evening.
Chemistry is building, and it's almost as if we watched the reality, what Gino Auriemma said. It starts with upperclassmen, and then our freshmen will be confident. Caden Samuels rarely missed. Ashlyn Shade, 8 of 10 tonight. Hit the final seconds on Aaliyah Edwards' homecoming night in Canada. Connecticut puts on a show, and listen to the applause. The Huskies head into the holiday break, winners of 5 in a row.
Really impressive. What a special night for Aaliyah Edwards. Thank her for bringing us here to Canada as well. A talented overall performance for the Huskies.
An amazing night at Mattamy Athletic Center, Maple Leaf Gardens. Great to be with all of you. For my partner Kim Adams, I'm John Fanta. After the break, we'll send it to Mike Hill in LA. Thanks for watching.